YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and I am here on Total War Rome 2, and my opponent here actually got to play 3 battles against. I'll show you the first one, and then I'm going to show you the second two all in one video. A couple of interesting fights here. I think you'll enjoy this one. First one, he played as Tylis, and so I decided to pick the Ardiaei. Ardiaei are arguably one of the worst factions in the game. Probably the worst for most players, but some players, I guess, don't give them the last position. One thing the Ardiaei have going for them is that their hoplites, for the cost, are incredibly good. Like, incredibly good for hoplites. But see, that's the problem, is hoplites aren't all that good. They serve a few purposes, and that's just about it. Now, you'll notice my army here is mostly consistent of Illyrian Hoplites, supported by axe warriors, backed up with 3 slave javelin men, my generals, and a noble hoplite. And then I've got 4 Illyrian cav with silver chevron upgrades, which makes them pretty mediocre still. Only 36 attack, 32 weapon damage, only 45 armor. Yeah, so pretty low. So the Ardiaei, that's one of their huge weaknesses, is they can defend against cav with infantry with their hoplites, but that's not always real easy. And if you go up against a faction like Bactria that's fielding Bactrian Noble Horse, which has a freaking massive, I want to say it's like 42 attack and it's like 36 weapon damage, 85 armor, 80 health, 60 morale. I mean, infantry just has a horrible time defending itself against cavalry like that. So Bactrian Noble Horse, to be honest, for the price, it's overpowered for its price. Bactrian Noble Horse is. It gives Bactria kind of an identity, but the problem is not every faction has one of those identity units. So I'm not like I don't go around banning Bactrian Noble Horse by any means, but it is too powerful for the price. It's kind of like an Epicati cohort. So the Bactrian Noble Horse, for instance, if you nerfed its armor and morale a little, I mean, it is a noble horse, so maybe keep the morale. The armor, I guess, kind of makes sense, it's noble, but I mean, why does it get the extra weapon damage and then only 840 on the cost? You know what I mean? Like, so the cost is pretty low. So it's something I just haven't really understood. Why Bactria managed to get that single cav unit there that was just kind of insanely good. Alright, so let me slow things down real quick and cover the armies. So I've got 6 Illyrian Hoplites in a main line, 3 slave javelin men, again Illyrians. I think I told you my army. Let's take a look at his. My opponent has 5 noble horse, which is going to be very hard for the Ardiaei to destroy. That's probably why he brought it. He's got 2 mercenary Thracian peltist, and then he's got a line of, like, I think, man, I want to say 6 Thracian warriors, which are brutal on the charge. And if we look at their charge info here, they've got 45 attack, 51 weapon damage, and a 33 charge bonus, which is pretty dang good. Now, my guys have the expert charge defense ability, and that ability is right here, and it says, and I'll pull it up, it says this unit's melee attack and damage are increased against charging enemies. Plus, I can put them into hoplite wall and give my men extremely good bracing for a charge. And they have extremely good melee defense. So see here, my opponent's going to charge his noble horse in to force back my slave javelin men. He doesn't want them killing his Thracian warriors, because, I mean, like right here, I got 10 kills off a single volley. So my opponent's forced to pull back with his noble cav at the last second. And we'll just watch what happens here. So obviously I'm bracing to absorb his charge. My opponent really should not charge me. And I'm going to explain why just real quick. Let's watch the charge up close. His guys have a brutal charge, but if you look, 2 melee defense, 30 armor, only 40 health. My men have bigger health, way bigger armor, huge melee defense. So let's watch how this goes. My guys brace. See how his guys just kind of, like, a few of my men get knocked back a little, but see how well they took that charge? And then it makes my men stronger in the charge. So look at that. He just lost over 10 men on the charge, and I only lost, looks like 3 right there. So my men are actually strengthened on the charge, and some of my men are going to start to die now that they get into a melee combat. But yeah, you can see my men are strengthened against his charging units. My men are formation attack units. Actually, they are not. I thought they were formation attack. Illyrian Hoplites are not formation attack. If they were, it would have made them probably even stronger. But they're a disciplined unit fighting in formation with extremely high melee defense, so it'll serve my purpose. I pin his cav down, like I'll show you an overhead. I pinned his cav down on this flank, and then we'll pop back down here, and you can see that I'm kind of going in piecemeal, just trying to keep his cav pinned. I'm going to use my axe warriors to help, but here I get a fantastic rear charge with my axe warriors, and just absolutely decimate these 2 Thracian warriors that were going to otherwise beat this Illyrian Hoplite. But look how well my men held that charge. My opponent even had some noble horse, maybe that was trying to sneak through or something. It got stopped. And he's using his javelins to try and take down my hoplites. That's a smart move. my javelins are firing into his men as well. See how my men stabilized right there? And as his men tire out here, the fight's going to start to turn in my favor. Yeah, these mercenary axe warriors with that outflanking maneuver are going to end up routing the Thracian warriors. So Thracian warriors' weakness is going to be their morale, health, lack of armor, and melee defense. Whereas you see my men, they hold here very stably. So it's not very often you're going to see the Ardiaei just actually kind of own an infantry fight. And I wouldn't say my guys own it. This is the one place where phalanx actually does come in handy, like hoplite phalanx. It brunted their charge, it gave my men more defense, it made this fight last longer, and in a fight that lasts longer, Thracian warriors do worse because of their lack of melee defense. So it kind of nullified their big charge bonus and big attack, and then I'm able to start to dominate the flanks over time just because overwhelming his infantry. So yeah, you can see that his line here starting to break. And these aren't even formation attack hoplites, but most hoplites don't have that expert charge defense. Usually it comes on elite hoplites. That is one thing that the Ardiaei have going for them. It's a very small thing, but it's a helpful thing. So when enemies charge Illyrian Hoplites or Illyrian Noble Hoplites, they're given, I don't know what the stats are. If anybody knows how the stats work, please let me know. But they're given a boost to their stats, both attack and damage, which makes it helpful because it kind of, again, can brunt an enemy charge. So you saw my Hoplites here actually brunt a full-on melee assault and push it back. Formation attack units are usually the best ones to do this, and my men do not fight in formation attack, but it still worked out just because of their stats in this case. But yeah, that's why you could charge Roman infantry, for instance, with Thracian warriors, do a whole bunch of damage, and then eventually that fight could turn around for the Romans, possibly because of that formation attack. It's kind of like when I played against Pontus. My Thracian warriors did really well in the charge, but then the Pontic swords, who had formation attack, eventually just kind of tanked it back around. Check out my javelins hitting these last few remaining noble horsemen, taking them off their horse. Some pretty sweet action there. So yeah, not very often that you're going to be able to use Ardiaei to great effect, and no doubt my opponent was probably not real happy to lose to the Ardiaei, because they're not a very good faction. I think that he was just banking that his charge could knock out my hoplites quickly, and this is probably a common misconception. Now, again, without formation attack, my men did pretty well, all things considered. But hoplites can definitely brunt a charge, and if they have the expert charge defense, they can really brunt the charge of an enemy unit. The problem is that their attack and weapon damage is low, so it's going to take them a while to kill their enemy if they can kill it. So that's just kind of how it works out. You can see my opponent actually killed more of my men. I just had a lot more men, so I was able to wear him down. And his noble horse still getting a large number of kills on several units, considering they were facing up against mostly spears. But let's go take a look at a few things real quick. I just, again, want to follow up on this concept that I was showing you all. So if you take a look, we'll just look at Bactria because I got them pulled up here. The Scale Thorax Hoplite, for instance, has a formation attack. The Illyrian ones did not, and they're about the same price. But you also notice that these guys do not have the expert charge defense. So an expert charge defense usually just comes on elite hoplites. So we look at this Bactrian Royal Guard, see they have it, or actually that's Encourage. Yeah, right here, expert charge defense. So it kind of gives you an idea that usually that's an ability that only comes on elite units. So it is a small thing that helps boost the Ardiaei, and heaven knows they need it. Their armies are terrible. Now, their Illyrian Noble Hoplites aren't bad. Honestly, I think that for the price you pay for these guys, in order to make the Ardiaei more viable on the battlefield, I think these guys should get an increase to their melee attack, at least, perhaps their weapon damage. But if they did that, it would help out. But I mean, 105 armor on the Illyrian Noble Hoplites. That's huge. That is huge. Their health is not as big as some of the other elite units, but their price is pretty good. And again, expert charge defense. It starts on the Illyrian Hoplites, but see, look, this mercenary hoplite, it has formation attack, but again, no expert charge defense. So if you're looking at price, these guys that have formation attack, which just kind of makes them sturdier in a long-term fight. But that expert charge defense, you all saw what it did. His guys charged me and lost more men in the charge. My men started dying after the charge, but I mean, you saw that clearly there. The low armor, low melee defense, high charge unit can be brunted by a hoplite, and apparently that's a good role for them in the game. And of course, if you're just wanting to slow down sword infantry, a hoplite phalanx is a great way to do it and set them up for a hammer and anvil blow. But again, hoplites are kind of shaky. You have to know where to use them on the battlefield. They don't behave like they do in Rome 1, so something to be aware of. Yeah. Other thing I think to take note of is the Ardiaei. I didn't use them very well in this battle, but the Illyrian Thuriospheres have a bonus versus cavalry counter tactics. That makes that a pretty flexible unit at 360. Good melee defense and armor. Very poor health and morale. So you don't want these guys to get charged by enemy cav like what happened to me in that battle. It's best to soak up the charge with another unit and then throw these guys in so that their cavalry counter tactics will do the trick better. If they get charged by the enemy cav, this low health is going to get them destroyed. It'll just completely wipe them out. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this. HeirofCarthage signing off for now. Stay tuned, and I'll show you my second and third battle against this player, and we'll take a look at what happened.